Can I taste your juice?
Hey folks, PBusardo. Welcome to the Return to Evolv 3 years later video part 2. Very well may be a part 3. I'll find out more as I continue to edit this video down. But we're going to go back to the interview right now, and then we're going to go back and take a look at more of the board manufacturing process. Here we go. So let's change topics here a little bit. Maybe we'll go back to regulation and FDA and all that fun stuff. But you said something really interesting before. You said that the switching rate has kind of plateaued a little bit, or like the number of people who have converted from smoking to vaping, right? Did you say?
That's CDC numbers. If you look at the CDC numbers,
right,
2016 just came out, the number of daily vapors or vapor users has really sort of fallen off, and the fall off's all in the dual users, which to me means that people aren't initiating e-cigarette use in order to quit smoking at the rate that they were several years ago.
Okay, so why that is where I want to go. And do you think that is potentially because the industry as a whole has lost focus of what it started out as and what it has become?
You're going to get me in trouble.
I'm right there with you.
But I think that's an important question.
It is.
Well, okay, so I think there's a number of things at play there. Certainly part of it is the media coverage has gone from being very positive to being very sort of negative. FUD. And, media coverage runs on dollars, and so we know where the dollars went. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it. I think part of it is once it got enough scrutiny, there are far too many unanswered questions. I think long term, even if PMTA goes through verbatim, that's better for the industry, because right now, if somebody said, hey, should I start vaping? I'm smoking right now. Maybe. What should I use? Well, has anybody published, this, that, or the other test results? I think it's, I think 14, 15, a lot of people were just taking it at face value that because it's, just to hear that, it's the vapor's just water, which we all know is not even approaching accurate. But, I think there's a certain amount of just questions people had about the utility and the safety and what's in the vapor and whatever. And I don't think that amount of sort of questioning from a consumer standpoint was met with an appropriate outpouring of data from the manufacturers. Like, for example, how do we know that strawberry malt that you've got isn't a problem? And if you wanted to go ask or look it up or see if there's any safety data published on it, my guess is the answer would be no. Short term I understand why that is, because that's expensive testing and all the rest of that, and nobody's quite sure what to test for. But long term it leads to a lot of sort of hand waving, which isn't very satisfying. So I think that's part of it. And I think PMTA, if you say, well, the FDA stamped this as safer than a cigarette or whatever they want to stamp it with, I think you would get a lot of people interested again, whereas, I heard that these things blow up and blah, blah, blah on the local news, and there's no counterpoint we don't have a credible counterpoint that says, well, most of them don't blow up, these 4 do, but...
We've done a really bad job with PR.
We've done no, it's not PR. We've done a really bad job of responding to FUD with information. If you say, when cars run into walls, they explode, if that whole Ralph Nader thing was met with la la la, no they don't, which is sort of what we've said as an industry, then that story wouldn't go away. If you can just look up the frontal crash test and the offset crash test and all the rest of that for the car that you're thinking about buying, if you care about safety, then you've got data to refute stories that may or may not be data driven. If we don't have any data, then it all just becomes sort of an opinion in an internet pissing match. The problem is that data doesn't... It's a chicken and the egg problem, because if everybody went out and tested their juices against some sort of a set standard, then that would be great. You could look up and say, okay, I'm confident that doing these things will lead to better outcomes than smoking. If half the people did it and it costs a ridiculous amount of money, the other half will sort of free ride on that because there'll be more positive vibes because all the ones we tested are fine. So the free rider doesn't incur millions of dollars worth of testing costs and still gets the benefit. And other than some big brother coming in and saying, no, you guys all have to test this, I'm not sure how to get around that. So I don't think it's a PR problem exactly, because it's not let's say nicer things. To me, it's let's generate the data to demonstrate a benefit if there's a benefit. As an industry, we haven't really done enough to address identifiable safety hazards, so why would you trust us with ones that may or may not be there 20 years from now? And there is some work on that, like, I'm on the UL Standards Technical Panel for devices, and we're actively addressing, let's make these not blow up. And we're not trying to get them to some sort of a mythical standard. We're really trying to get a standard that gets you about the same level as a power tool would be for not blowing up, or gets you to the level of other responsible high-power consumer electronics. And I don't think that's impossible by any stretch, but I will say that it's not going to be a popular standard when it comes out, because most stuff on the market ain't going to pass. The real tragedy about battery safety in these devices, it's moving backwards. We have, there are devices that are working reasonably-ish well for $20 now. That would have been $100 a year ago, 2 years ago. Half of the cost of like a DNA 250 is in a safety system in some fashion. So strip all of that out and bingo bango, you're a lot cheaper. I would argue that the devices that are coming out new in 2017 are actually less safe from a battery perspective than the devices that came out in 2016 or 15. They're way less safe than NegoTwist.
Why is that?
Because they're not, well, for one, they're capable of running at higher powers. They tend to be multi-cell. They're not, a lot of them aren't doing any, let's ignore balancing for a second, which is kind of expensive. A lot of them aren't even doing any multi-cell monitoring and shut-off. You can just force cells into reversal and blow them up in the normal course of use if you just start vaping with a charged and a discharged cell. And a lot of that is because there is a cheaper thrust right now, and it doesn't impact the nameplate ratings. It doesn't impact the to strip out all your safety systems that you should have. Like, for example, cars sort of trickled up in price a little bit, but not hideously. If you took out all the airbags and all the anti-lock brakes and all the traction control and the stability control and all the rest of that, and we're just sort of driving around in a 1984 VW Rabbit, you can make them a lot cheaper, and they would still get from point A to point B. And you might say, oh, well, I don't need any of those things.
Until you do.
Until you do, exactly. There's definitely a thrust for, let's make these as cheap as humanly possible, which is sort of normal, but there's no pushback the other way saying, no, if you drop below this level of, if you took out the seatbelts, you could save $22 per price of car, but maybe we shouldn't be doing that. And most of the people vaping are, current or former smokers. So there's a lot of just sort of ingrained rationalization of, well, this is hazardous, but it won't happen to me, or 99 out of 100 people don't need the safety system that's only going to prevent one person from, having a minor fire or burning themselves a little bit, and 1 out of 1,000 people might have a more serious injury or whatever. So for most of those people, you don't need it. They're like, whatever, I'll be safe, I'll be careful, until you're the one that needs it.
Mm-hmm. So maybe this is more of a question for Brandon, because Brandon, you do obviously a lot more events than John is, right? So you're more out there. John is a more behind the scenes guy. Very, very outspoken though, right?
Well, I'm out there. I'm just
super
different.
smart
he's more of a sciencey type thing.
Right, but what have you seen in the vape events? How the vape events started? Because you've been around for a long time. I've been around for a long time. How the vape events started? Because when they started, they were obviously a lot smaller. They weren't as commercialized, right? They were more, I think they were more inviting to the smoker. They weren't as potentially frightening to the smoker. Right. Do you think that maybe that has something to do with, the CDC numbers, and maybe people are afraid of what they're seeing.
I spent a lot of time recently, John will tell you, in vape shops, just seeing what's going on, what's happening. And what I'm seeing, what I saw disturbed me a little bit. And I came back and, talked to John about it. I'm like, I can't, back in 2009, 2010, when you and I started vaping.
2009, yeah.
Right. You were handed something that you brought to your mouth and you effectively used like a cigarette.
Right.
That was it. Now what I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I may be wrong, this is my own opinion, is when I see someone walk into a vape shop, the very first thing I see is the upsell. And, they do have some starter kits there. Many of them are not mouth to lung. They're AOIs that are direct lung. So the first thing we're telling the smoker is, great that you stopped, but you have to relearn how to smoke. We're gonna have you draw on this now.
Right.
You've seen kids hit a joint,
which is why
do it the same way.
Which is why I'm a huge proponent of mouth to lung.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for a smoker, that's the most uncomfortable thing in the world. I mean, coming from you want a tighter draw. The cigarettes are extremely tight draws. I mean, if you're somebody who's vaping, go back. You don't have to light the cigarette, but go back and pull through a cigarette. Remember what that was like. It's extremely tight. So we're handing people these, these sort of wide open things and saying, no, just breathe it, just go straight into your lungs with it, and I think that's uncomfortable. I understand why it is the way it is, but yeah, that focus is gone. We've become more of a hobbyist market, which we've always been. There's always been the hobbyist side to this,
of course. And if it wasn't for that hobbyist side,
there wouldn't be an Evolv.
Of course,
absolutely.
But what we don't have is the hobby is something you get into if you sort of want to take this up, and then you get really involved with it.
Right.
But if you don't have 10 people starting with a ego twist or whatever, you won't have that one guy who's like, this is really cool. I wonder if I can Tim Taylor it up and get more, power, more bling, or more whatever. There are a whole lot of people who drive cars. There are a whole lot less people who are auto enthusiasts.
Right. And one of the analogies I use, and actually I was given this by somebody else, is that how many people own iPhones, right? How many people are members of an iPhone forum?
Right.
Right. I mean, they're very, very similar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So continue on with your thought.
No, it's just, I mean, I see a fundamental flaw. I mean, now I have been in vape shops that do, in my opinion, now again, this is just my opinion, do it right. I mean, the very first thing they ask them, have you ever vaped before? Were you a smoker? What did you smoke?
Right.
We're not matching them to the, when I started, and I still, from time to time, will jump back up to 18 to 24 milligram. I started there and I've stayed there, but it's kept me off cigarettes for 9 years. I checked a local vape shop to see if they had one particular liquid that's quite popular that I like, and I ordered in 12. 12 is sort of my regular. I might bump up, might bump down, and the only thing they had it in was 3 and 6. I was like 3 and 6, really? But they didn't have a single mouth to lung device in that entire. And they had a lot. They had a lot of hardware. Some of our hardware was in there, but nothing on a mouth to lung. There were no Nautiluses. There were no, this was a hobbyist vape shop, which is fine.
It is,
and it sells a hell of a lot more juice if you're direct lung hitting at higher wattage. So I understand that it fits the market better. Especially with descending juice prices. Mm-hmm. Margins are falling just like juice prices are falling. So, I get it, but I think we've gone in a direction. I'm not saying that there can't be these. I just said, my thought is, when somebody wants to mouth to lung, we're handing them something that's 4 years old. Literally 4 years old. And John mentioned the Ego Twist and a Nautilus or a CE4, or there should be really no focus on that at all.
Right, and it's actually a project that Dimitri and I have taken up. We're going to be releasing some tanks that do feed the mouth to lung market.
Right, and I'm not saying nobody should use this.
Right.
It's just that when you get somebody and you want to pull them over to that side, to that less harmful alternative,
right,
you need to give them a path that isn't fraught with a lot of discomfort.
This isn't the story of 2017. The story of 2017 is all the pod mods.
The pod mods.
The pod mods are, they're
effectively mouth along.
They're mouthed along. I mean, they're ego twists redux essentially if you tear one apart. But there is that sort of coming back to a smaller device, more mouth-along device. Nicotine levels are creeping up. I mean, my God, if we're talking about nicotine levels, we could talk about the Juul.
Yeah, right.
The Juul's what, 52 now or something?
And I agree with that. And the problem that I have with most of the pod systems is
super expensive.
Well, it's super expensive, but also, like, I don't get satisfied with them until I go above a 12 to an 18.
Right.
Or we get into the salts, and then I'm not satisfied at all because I'm not getting my throat hit.
Right.
So I still think there's a missing pod system out there.
Yeah, no, I don't think that the pod systems out there that exist are, anywhere near good enough. But I do feel like the fact that even as sort of garbage as most of them are, the pods are getting a lot of play this year, suggests that there is still a market out there for things other than 150 watts and your car goes opaque every time you exhale.
Right.
Because I think a lot of the hobbyists don't understand how off-putting that is. I mean, one of the major things that was driving people to vapor, other than the safety and other than health benefits, is back, especially in the Cigalikes in our early ego twist days, a guy sitting there vaping next to you was a million billion times less obnoxious than a guy sitting there smoking next to you. There was a certain amount of a politeness level, and in a vape shop or in a conference or outside or whatever, the guy running 150 watts and blowing enormous clouds isn't necessarily a problem, but it only takes one guy doing that in a movie theater to turn everyone in the movie theater off to vaping. Like completely. So it's it's a little bit like the Harleys. The people who drive Harleys, like, oh yeah, that's great. They're so loud and everybody can see that I'm coming here, and it's safer that way. And everybody else is like, really? It's 8 in the morning, dude.
Don't. So I got to ask a question.
Yeah.
Don't take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
But do you think you fed that behavior?
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah.
I have no.
We contributed.
Yeah. In my defense, we only did it because we were tired of people saying, well, the 40's not enough, and before that was the 30's not enough. Well, it's like, whatever.
Well, it's helped you remain relevant, let's be honest. Right?
No. But I'm not saying there isn't a place for high wattage vaping. I just feel like if the image of vaping in everybody's head is high wattage vaping, if the goal is to end smoking, or if the goal is to get everybody that wants to stop smoking able to, that is long-term detrimental to our goals. But at the same time, I'm not going to stop making DNA 250s and other high wattage devices because somebody will make them.
See, I would say it has more to do with the ambassadors. And there are, our ambassadors to smokers look a lot different today than they did 5 years ago.
Yeah, they really do. And I don't think you see enough of, I always tell the story about one of the best things that I've seen in vaping was being in a vape shop in Florida and watching the vape shop door open up and an old woman in a walker, grandmother, walk up to the counter, buy her coils, buy her liquid, turn around and walk out. We don't see enough of that. Right. That's not the face of vaping, but at times it really needs to be.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make a moral judgment or anything like that.
Sure.
It's just, if you say, where did vaping sort of start to go from being seen as a solution to going seen as a problem? You could even draw a circle around a DNA 200. I'll take that. I think that's one of the things that really hasn't helped in the past couple of years, because now we're essentially making Harleys rather than Honda Civics, and the market for that's a lot smaller, and the number of people who are likely to step away from one to the other is smaller because of it. And I think that's a shame, but I think the pod mods do demonstrate there's still the demand there. If somebody came out with a really good pod system, and they're not at the moment, but I think that could clean up iPhone style.
Interesting.
So again, some really interesting conversation there. At least I find it interesting. Hopefully some of you guys do as well. And I didn't really go in there with like a set list of questions. It was just like very conversational. It all kind of happened organically, you know, the different topics that we touched on. And I'll have more of the interview in just a little bit. But right now, back to board manufacturing, okay? So we've already built the boards. Actually, we've built the panels, right? So now we got to do some quality control on those panels and those boards. Let's see what that looks like.
And this is Dimitri. Hi.
This is Dimitri? Yeah. I need another Dimitri in my life. Hi, Dimitri.
Hi. This is a 3D inspection AOI.
3D inspection AOI, you said?
Yes.
What does AOI stand for?
For 100% inspection, the whole parts.
Okay, automatic optical inspection,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'll send you a board to see how it look like.
Okay. So every panel goes through this machine?
It's about 5,000 parts top side. It's way impossible to inspect with a naked eye.
Okay.
So this machine inspects 100% inspection for each part, solder joints, missing part, shifting part, any kind of defects. I also read thermal and 2D, and inspect about 5,000 parts on 35 seconds.
5,000 parts in 35 seconds?
Yes, sir.
So we can actually see that inspection happening right here?
Yeah, right now. So the time is 43 seconds. You can see the camera right now. It says it's good.
Yep.
Now the board is going to come here. You will go on the green magazine, which means it passed, the board passed. If it's the board failed, it will go on the defect one.
Okay.
Which is red, and then it will go to the rework station, will be repaired, and then we'll send it back to the AOI for another 100% inspection.
Okay, so the panel goes through this machine, the machine automatically detects whether the panel is good or bad, and then it's going to stack it in one of these two magazines.
Yeah.
The red ones are going to be bad, the green ones are going to be good. So it's not necessarily the panel that's bad, it could be just a component or a solder joint.
Right, on one of the boards.
And
There's 16 boards.
16 boards per panel.
Right.
Okay, so now we're going through and we're looking at
taking the pictures over here.
Oh yeah, cool. And it actually labels all the components too.
Yeah. And again, with the traceability, the serial number for the panel is here, so we'll know what panel and everything, so we can trace it down.
And I don't remember this machine from the last tour, so this is something new. So what Brandon just said is they used to do a lot of manual inspection, but the boards have gotten so complex now that they need this for more quality control. It's amazing technology, man. It really is unbelievable.
So we already find three defects right here.
3 defects.
And I'll show you right here that you have the defect occur. So you click on review. There you go.
And now you can find, and it shows you where the defect is, and we can see it right there.
2D, but also you can find it right here, 3D.
Wow.
So we can move it actually to see what's going on. It looks like it's damaged, but as a matter of fact, it's a tombstone because I can see the part right here, so it's lifted.
So that's what you call a tombstone?
Yeah, that's a tombstone.
If it's lifted up?
If it's lifted like 90 degrees, tombstone.
Oh, okay, so it just got placed the wrong way.
Yeah, it's
You got pulled to one side and stand straight up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You take tombstone, which is lifts over.
So these are all the kinds of errors?
Yeah, those are the
Or the problems that you could...
defects.
Yep.
The name of the defects, so you can call it right here, tombstone.
Tombstone. So we click that.
And then you go to the next one. And the next one is here. It's called for instance solder, which is a false call. I can see the solder right there. AOI classification came good ones, pass, okay. Defect, it's a defect like the one, the previous one, and a false call. The AOI give you a small angle of shadows, and it's a false call, so it pass.
Okay.
So the classification came false calls and defects. The false calls, I can make the judgment. I say, yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so it's a false code.
It's a false
Okay.
call. This one is called polarity. Actually, the polarity is right. You can see the mark is W, C, G, O. The mark right here is W, D, C, G. So it's okay. It's a false call. It's calling the AOI is calling because these debris right here.
The debris.
But actually the AI is looking for exactly the same picture, which is no any kind of degree.
Got it.
So it's a false call. And now, because we have that previous defect, when you send it, click, you'll go
So this will go to the red.
magazine on the tail.
So here comes the board, and it goes into the red cassette. There it is. So now, once we've identified this board as a defective board, or the panel as a defective panel for whatever reason, for the components on the board, what happens to it now? Now it goes to rework?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So somebody manually looks at it, fixes any problems,
Corrects the component.
and then you actually put it through this machine again?
Yes.
Okay. Now this machine is just doing a visual inspection, right? So it's not making any electrical connections with the...
No, we do that over here.
Okay, so that's another place.
Because these are all barcoded in, they're traceable through the entire system. If we have one head on one of the picking places that's, you know, turning a component slightly off, then we can stop, do maintenance on that machine, fix the problem. So this really tells us if there is an issue with, you know, like a recurring issue with one of the machines. Or,
Right. So if you all of a sudden have, like, you know, a whole bunch of panels bad, obviously the problem is someplace else down the road.
Right, or even if we have one that in every 15 panels places one component wrong, or turns slightly, or, you know.
Okay, so Dimitri just put a little arrow by the bad component so that I can go and take a look at it under the microscope. I totally see it now. That is cool. Yeah, so not only is it sitting up, but it's not soldered on the other side.
Yep.
All right, so Brandon, give me a hammer. I can fix this one. Okay. It's going to be like impossible for you guys to see that, but if we take a look, there is a tiny little component that's sitting up on its side, and it's not soldered on the other side. I'll try to zoom in as much as I can in the video to show you guys. Really, really cool stuff. Really cool, Dimitri. Thank you very much. And you're far better looking than that other Dimitri that I know, too. So after the visual inspection,
That's correct.
once they're all approved here, we go someplace else.
That's right.
All right.
Down to programming.
Programming.
Programming and testing.
Okay. So at this point, those are not the smartest boards because there's no firmware on them yet.
They won't do anything.
They won't do anything. Okay.
Effectively slugs.
Right.
Oh, this is our prototype line.
So this line is just for prototyping.
Just for prototyping and small run type stuff.
Right.
You know, like our August 8th products a lot of them came through this line. So.
Okay. And you're, of course, going to tell me all of the information about all of the new products and secrets that Evolv has coming,
You
right?
know, John's better at giving away those types of
Good.
things.
Good. I'll try to get some stuff from John for you guys.
He's not as guarded as I am.
Yeah, you are very guarded. You've gotten a lot more guarded with your age,
Yeah,
too.
I know.
You really have. You used to slip a couple secrets to me that I knew, that I never shared.
I know.
All right, but now you don't tell me shit. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Ash, what's going on, brother?
How's it going?
Ash is a vapor. Yep.
We've got a 250 here, DNA 75C,
Okay.
which we're going to be converting everything over so it looks cleaner like that.
Okay.
And currently running 250s on this one.
What's on this one?
250s.
Okay, so this is a 250. So what is this machine going to do?
It's going to find the fiducial so it knows exactly where the board is. And the first,
So let me just kind of show them that.
it's going to read that panel so,
Okay.
so it knows what panel it is from AOI. Anything from AOI will tell me if it passed or failed.
Okay.
If it failed, it'll tell me what for, and it'll give nice stripes. The first time it comes down, it'll actually put the programming on it, and then the second time, it's actually going through multiple tests.
Okay, so this machine is basically putting the firmware on the board.
Yep.
Okay, or the panel, actually all of the boards on the panel, and it's also doing testing.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's not getting split up like last time.
Okay.
It's firing the board.
It's firing the boards.
Checking charging.
Checking charging.
Checking just to make sure the output is within range.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, you know, we have a real thing for precision.
Yes.
This is what determines whether it's a good board or bad board, whether the output is within, you know, a very tight range that we specify.
So how long for this machine? How long to program all of the boards, or how long
board
does it take?
itself will take about 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes.
But you can see here, this is all the results of the test. And that gets tacked on to the serial number itself. So you got, you know, battery cell 1, 2, 3, board temperature, device measured current resistance. It's got all these different specs on it that we test for. And everything gets hooked to that serial number. So if the board comes back, we can look up that serial number, get all of this data, and the data from AOI as well to see if there's any kind of pattern forming.
Okay. So the data from the optical machine works its way over here?
Yep, everything's tracked from there on.
Everything's connected.
If it does come up yellow, it'll tell us what it failed for. Like this is saying that it didn't fire.
It didn't fire.
Yep. And then depending on what the error is, we'll send them back to rework to get reworked, or we'll mark them yellow, and they will be recycled.
Hey, thank you very much.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Once everything's programmed,
Right.
the stuff that didn't program well either gets sent back to rework or gets marked for disposal. Actually recycling.
Recycling.
So they get put into the cartridges, brought over to conformal coating. This is the waterproofing. All of our boards since the beginning have been waterproofed. And
Right.
I don't know that people know that. All of our buttons are waterproof. Well, I mean, it's an e-cigarette. It's going to get liquid in it.
Liquid in it, yeah.
You know, and so now there's certain areas we can't conformal coat, things like the USB. Because if we conformal coated them, when you plug something in, it would
No connection.
No connection.
Right.
So we conformal coat the areas that we can and leave the others, like the screen connector on the boards. You can't conformal coat that.
Right.
But every other area of the board is conformal.
Right. So basically, any place on the board where you have to make a connection to, you can't conformal coat. Is that
Conformal coat. Yeah.
Okay, because you're eliminating that connection, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is Josh.
Hi, Josh. How you doing?
Good.
All right. So what are we doing with Josh?
I've actually done a little pre-production work for you.
Nice.
I have the finished shots ready, and then after you get that footage, I can give you the full run through.
Terrific. Okay. So what are we seeing?
Well, the conformal coating is UV light reflective. So on the bottoms, as Brandon was saying, all that's getting coated. We're avoiding the through holes and the ground pads. And that's what the bottom looks like finished.
Okay.
And then this is what the top looks like finished. The hinges on the connectors have been avoided.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
All the through holes have been avoided. We're also avoiding the very top of the processor in case certain manufacturers need to use that to adhere the screen to it. And yeah, and all the tops of the buttons are avoided.
Yeah, you can see that the UV isn't reflecting off the buttons. So basically, anywhere you don't see blue, right, or the UV, is where there's no conformal coating.
Correct.
Okay. Now, were there machines that did this the last time, or was this a little bit more?
This was done in that.
Yes, it was, right?
It was.
Yeah,
We
okay.
hand-sprayed. We
So all of
hand-sprayed
these
these boards.
machines are actually new at this
Yeah,
point.
they were masked and then hand sprayed. We put this pink, you know, almost like a foam over the areas that couldn't be conformal coated.
I remember that.
Yeah, and then you would rip that off afterwards after it cured.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this whole process is new. How long have you been using this process as opposed to the more manual process?
DNA 70, well, the DNA 200.
Since the DNA 200?
Yeah.
That board's going to feed through the conveyor. It's going to get a new one.
Okay, so we're going to get a new board now. We're actually going to do the conformal coating. And we can see this nice. So it looks like it's clearing something up. It's actually doing the spraying. It's like a really expensive automatic spray painter. I mean, that's what it is, right? So now, once this process is done, this goes through another oven? Yep. Okay. So this actually, it's very similar to the soldering. It's got to bake it on to make it...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it'll cure it in the oven.
It'll cure it in the oven.
coming
Yep,
out.
there it is. So that's wet at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. But we can see, again, with the UV light. So how long does it take to get through this oven?
15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes. All right, so we come out of conformal coating. We go over here. They get stacked up again, right?
Yes.
So we have another stack of panels, and then what happens?
They come into the router.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 16 boards on a panel. They have to be separated off of the panel. So what happens here, and we don't have any boards right now to show you, but what the operator would do would be to put them into, so while one is routing, there's two tables in here. One comes up, they're taking the boards off that have been separated and putting a panel on. That goes back underneath,
Okay.
and then over to the router side, which is just a little router bit that goes around and cuts the boards off. It's made
Okay.
specifically to depanel.
Okay. So this machine depanels the
Right.
panel into individual boards.
Right. He puts good ones here. The ones that were marked bad from programming that couldn't be reworked go here.
Okay.
And then they go off to recycling.
Got it.
Okay. And I don't know if he's gonna get it moving, but there's two tables in there. Effectively, he's pulling, separating the boards, putting the new panel on while that one's routing. So it's very, very efficient.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we have completed boards at this point, and I wish I could have shown you the router, but they weren't. I don't know if it wasn't running or they didn't have panels to put through it. I don't know, but I didn't get any footage of that router running because it was much more of a manual process the first time that I visited. Maybe I'll ask them for some video and put it in a future video. But anyway, we're going to go to shipping now because we're pretty much done with the manufacturing process. But we'll go back to the interview for a little while.
Innovation in the market. Okay, so I've often said that love or hate Evolv, you have been responsible for changing the face of vaping at least twice now.
Okay.
At least twice. First, we were all vaping in volts, now we're vaping in watts. Okay. Second, now every device has temperature control.
Nobody uses it, but every device has it.
You know what? I use it.
Yeah.
Does nobody use it?
It's about of our devices, because you can go to E6Stats and look this up. It's
Right.
about 10% of our users
10%
are running
regular.
Are running exclusively temperature control, and another 10% are sometimes running temperature control. And that's about it.
Okay, because I had an interesting poll up on Taste Your Juice, and the numbers surprised me. But then again, my audience is a little bit different from the viewers out there, right?
Right.
And the number of folks who demanded temperature control from their devices was actually surprising to me.
Yeah, I think that the shame of that is it's sort of become a checkbox on the outside.
Yeah.
Does it have temperature? Yeah, it's sort of one of those things that nobody does.
Nobody
really
uses
cares
it, so it
about.
doesn't have to be any good. It's,
Right.
And then when you try it, it'd be like, oh, well, yeah, no, I tried temperature control on this thing. And,
I reviewed one device, this was a little while ago, and I think I said some companies should just not do it.
Right.
I mean, it was just that bad.
Well, you're seeing stuff come out. What, the Oceanus? The Inikin's product? They decided to no temperature control.
Yeah, not in that one.
Yeah.
Not in that one. Not in that one. Why do you think that is? So why was the technology? I have my own opinions on it, but why do you think the technology wasn't as adopted as well as you thought it would be?
Too fiddly?
Yeah, it's pretty much too fiddly.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. If we had presented it some way that didn't require ohms, because really for temperature control as we're doing it right now, you have to have some understanding of what an ohm is. That takes your number of people way, way, way down. And if you say, hey, guess what? You're going to have to learn some electronics to use that device. That really sort of.
And back when I learned temperature control from you guys, it was nickel.
Yeah.
Right.
Period. Right. So then there was obviously some scare about nickel, the material, using the material. But then we got nickel, and then we got titanium, and then we got stainless steel, and then we got custom TCR values. So we've really made the technology as confusing
as possible.
As possible, sure.
Yeah.
And I mean that increases the fiddliness because then it's going to be hideously wrong for temperature if you have the wrong material selected and whatever. And that's really a lot of what we were working to address with the 75C and the other color devices, because really the 40 was about as glommed onto the user interface that can trace its lineage all the way back to the 20. Where you say, okay, how do you do this? Well, you hold down this button, you put it in this lock mode, you hold it up, down, blah, 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 blah. So for temperature control to be usable, the user interface really needed to change, so you could just have a select button to say yes, no, or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one of the major things we're working to address with the 75C.
All the color.
But no, really, temperature control, too fiddly. Temperature control, it's the right thing to do. I'm not sure, for a non-hobbyist audience, I'm not sure the way we sort of exposed it to the user with the 40, and then have sort of kept in that basic, TCR, cold ohms,
Reference, yeah.
yeah, in that sort of system, I'm not sure that's really accessible enough.
Yeah.
And it will be obvious why I'm saying this at some point in the near future. But no, and you can edit that out. I don't care. But no, the problem with temperature control is it's too fiddly. It requires too much input from the user for the incremental gains, in many circumstances, how we presented it. And really, not that I just pitching 75Cs, but it's a lot easier with the right theme on a 75C, because it's not, okay, well, I gotta fire up eScribe, or I gotta, do this or that, or you can just go, okay, well, I don't think that was right, go measure. But you still have to understand what you're measuring if you remeasure a coil. It's the right underlying technology. It's not the right accessibility.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, it's more Linux than Mac.
So when you were in the basement, right? The question that I asked you then was, will there be a 250 or a 250C to follow along with the 75C? And you, of course, shut up and you wouldn't say anything, but I think you can say it now, right?
Sure.
So what do you guys have coming that you can talk about?
Well, I guess what I would say is we're a U.S. company. We're required to do product registrations, so you can just go on the FDA's website and look up everything that is a product that
it was on the market.
It was on the market August 8th, so we'll be selling prior to 2020. I don't think there's any secret that there's a 250C.
Okay.
In fact, I don't even think that there's much secret as to what a 250C is. So it's.
Well, what do you mean by what the 250C is, other than the 250 watt with the color interface and the ability to create things? Is there more going on with the 250C that we don't know about?
There's a little
bit, but not that incremental change that you were talking about.
Okay.
Right. The 250C is a good product, especially if you're happy in the 510, in sort of the existing space. But it's preaching to the choir. It's not going to be the one that brings in an extra 5 million vapors.
So do you have that product?
Yes.
That's good. You do. Right.
I have several.
You have several.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything that you could share or talk about at this point?
You'll be happier.
I'll be happier. Interesting.
So I think you kind of hit on it. I don't remember if we were recording or not. The improvements that we can make to the systems at a board-only level were sort of plateaued. Meaningful improvements past there require control over more of the system than just two terminals going to a 510.
Got it.
Now, what that looks like,
So does that mean that we have another Evolv? Are we going to go back to the Darwin days where you are not just a board manufacturer, but you are a device manufacturer again?
So, but it's not...
Guys, I'm really trying for you. I really am. I'm doing the best that I can. It's not easy, okay? The DNA 250C.
Yeah.
When are we going to see that?
So it really depends on how much effort we devote to that versus devote to our PMTA stuff and our other things.
So do you have an estimate for the 250C?
It'll be out before Christmas.
Out before Christmas.
For
sure. Okay.
Oh, easy.
It's like pulling teeth, guys. I really tried to get as much information out of them for the new products that were coming and I really couldn't. And don't ask me. It's not like they showed me everything and I have all this information and I can share it with you, or I have this information and I can't share it with you. I really don't know much more than you're getting from this video, okay? Now, there is more of this this interview and this talk. A lot of it, as I'm editing, is actually hitting the cutting room floor. So, I mean, I probably have a good maybe solid 3 hours worth of interview. So there, I think there should be a part 3. Okay, but let's go back and we'll take a look at shipping and some of the other processes. Well, I think we'll take a look at shipping now, and then we'll probably wrap up this part and start a part 3.
The boards are actually the panels are right. They're D-panel. That's the correct terminology. Okay, so basically the panels are cut into individual boards. What happens now?
Go to shipping.
Shipping. So this is shipping.
This is shipping. And that's Ken over there. He's inside sales.
Ken is inside sales. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Phil.
How you doing?
Ken is sort of my right-hand man here. He's the one that you talk to after you talk to me.
Okay.
Usually, so if we pull in a new customer, Ken is the one that's in continuous communication with them.
Okay. Much cooler, much quieter in here.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't believe how organized this is compared to what we saw the last time. It's like it's really night and day. Yeah. Because I'm going to be honest with you. When I visited the last time, I'm like, how the hell did they get anything out the door? I mean, your boards go obviously in 2 different directions, right? They go to the consumer for modding or for whatever they want to use the boards for, right?
Manufacture.
And then they also go to manufacturers who are putting out product, like this product that I got in my pocket right now, the H Cigar VT75D, right? So what's the percentage of product that goes to like a manufacturer versus like an individual?
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, I can take a stab at it.
Okay.
Probably 95.5.
95.5. So 95% to manufacturer and 5% to individuals.
That's a guess on my part. I mean, I could pull the numbers and tell you exactly. But yeah, about that.
Who would you say are your big manufacturers at this point? Lost Vape's got to be big one of them. Yep.
Lost Vape, H Cigar. I would say Hot Sig, Vape Siggy. Vape Siggy's actually bringing out some really nice stuff lately, especially with the 75C. That nobody in the U.S. seems to carry.
I don't even know Vape Siggy.
Yeah, I'll show you some others.
Okay. I just talked to Iman from
Vape Droid.
Yep.
God, don't let me leave them out.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you got Vapor Shark, and then we have a whole group of smaller manufacturers. I'm trying to think. Oh, Stars, they're a big one.
Okay.
I don't want to leave anyone out,
Right.
Sort of like an awards thing where you're like, Mom, Dad, my producer. Now, we do have a nice stock of regular buyers who buy in pretty large quantities. At the top of that list, I can tell you who's at the top of that list. It's Lost Vape and H Cigar.
Lost Vape, yeah, I figured that.
But we have a whole bunch that are right there with them. So yeah, these are all DNA 75Cs.
Okay.
Waiting for shipment. These are boxed up DNA 75Cs. I think there's 500 toolbox. Yeah. There, so we have a lot of stock of DNA 75C right now because that was the thing we've been running the most.
Okay.
Come over here. These are DNA 75s, which we ran out the last parts that we had of the DNA 75s. So this may be we can certainly still make more if there's a demand. But those are DNA 75Cs. What we have left. These are the DNA 250s. These are Vapor Shark 200s and 250s, which Vapor Shark wanted a special button, and they ordered in large enough quantity that we agreed to put a special button on for them. All of their products have a different style button.
Doesn't Vapor Shark also have a faster charger than other boards?
On some of the devices some of the boards we make for them, we do put the Qualcomm charger on there. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have a different battery management.
Right, and that's got to add cost to it, right? If you're putting
it does.
Qualcomm.
Yeah, that's a very, very.
So they are different.
You can see their buttons are metal.
Why is that?
They just wanted a different feel.
They just wanted a different feel. Interesting.
Yeah, they're very particular about certain aspects of qualitatively of what the user experiences.
Let's just compare those to a different. So let's pull out a tray here. Okay, so you can see the standard button. It's kind of like a rubber.
Yeah, longer throw. These are very short throw.
Longer throw. These are shorter throw.
Differ. A little more forced and.
If I had my force meter out, guys, you would. There's definitely a big difference between that button and this button here.
Right.
Big difference.
So, hey, what the customer wants, as long as they're willing to pay.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, I think it really has more to do with quantity than it does with anything else. I mean, we do get a lot of requests for, I want a board, I want that board, but I want it in this shape. And then it comes time to talk about quantities. The thing we don't want to be is, like these 200s and 250s, we wouldn't want to be stuck with a bunch.
Right.
Because you can't sell them to anyone else.
Right.
So we have a very set way that we sell something that is custom, but we would do a custom. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, since Evolv has been around, what products have you discontinued?
We still sell all of them. I mean, I can show you over here.
Come on, you don't sell kicks.
I sold 4 kick shoes today.
Seriously?
We still
Seriously,
sell
Okay.
that bin right there.
So and that was the one I was thinking about too. So you do still sell kicks.
Here's the most least remembered board ever. There's a temperature-controlled 25-watt board. It's the DNA 25. Nobody ever talks about the DNA 25. It was a great little board. Tiny little thing. We had the XP, which was used in the SVD product.
Yeah.
If you remember the little tube mod that that Inikin brought out.
Yep.
But this is where this is sort of you were asking. This is sort of the boneyard. This is where you have the.
Okay, so this is the boneyard. So you said you pulled kicks, right? But I mean, are kicks still being produced?
No, we still have quite a stock.
There's still
and those were still made at the Ashtabula Assembly Facility. So if that tells you how old, I mean, we moved into this facility in January of 2016.
Okay.
So
where's the surplus of Darwins? Where are those?
On my desk.
I got one too.
They really are.
I'm very happy to say that I got one finally. All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Phil.
One of the things that we do as a manufacturer is if you have a broken Lost Vape mod or a broken H-cigar mod, you can bring it directly to us. We will do the repair on it here at Evolv rather than you having to send it back to China and so forth. And so what Paul does...
Hey Paul, how you doing? If you buy like a Lost Vape product that's made in China, or if you buy an H-cigar product that's made in China, and something goes wrong with the board,
and the store won't take it back.
Okay.
Then you can send it to us, or even if you're having an issue with it, you can hit our tech support, hit our ticket system, and somebody within 24 hours will answer you. And most likely, we've seen the issue before. If it's a build issue, we'll let you know what that is. I'm not saying we haven't taken back stuff that has had build issues and corrected them. But yeah, I mean, we're here for any mod containing a DNA board. Feel free to hit us. Okay. Because that, at least we can give you an idea of what's going on with it.
Yeah, well,
because we've seen it before.
Especially with the DNA 75C,
Right.
There's a lot of diagnostics right on there that might allow you to troubleshoot.
Right.
Outside of it just not firing anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of times things that people think are board issues turn out to be build issues. So we'll bring them back in, we'll correct the build issue, send it back out.
Now, when you
I don't know what. Yeah, Paul will be able to tell you.
But we'll
better.
go over there. And when you
Yeah.
say build issue, we're not talking about the guy's atomizer and the coil that he's got.
No.
You're talking about the actual build of the device.
Actually build of the device.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're the guy for that?
Yeah.
He does a great job.
Yeah, I see a little bit of everything.
You see a little bit of everything.
Yeah, anything that has a DNA board in it, I see it. So.
Okay. So you get them in, you kind of troubleshoot them, you figure out what's going on?
First thing I do, unless it looks like it's been on fire, which I haven't had one of those, but I always put a pair of batteries in it or hook up a test battery, see if it turns on. If it does turn on, see if it actually fires an atomizer, if it connects to eScribe, whatever. Sometimes if I put batteries in it and it doesn't boot up, first thing I do is tear it apart, check the fuse, or check connection issues and stuff. There's a lot of times that people say it's a fuse issue when in reality a battery wire's broke.
Okay.
So.
And people may not understand that there are fuses on these boards, right?
Yeah. Here's a DNA 250 and the fuse is right there.
Yeah.
And it's a 30 amp fuse, so.
Right, so this isn't a fuse that people can really kind of change themselves unless they're into electronics that way, but
Right.
there is some protection on that board, beyond just the usual protection.
That's
so
correct.
what's that fuse there for, Brandon?
That fuse is there if there's a short or catastrophic failure of the board. It'll stop flow from the batteries to the board or to the unit.
Okay.
So if if something goes catastrophically wrong, that's going to trip, and it's going to isolate the board from the batteries.
Right. So we've talked to you about, you know, safety before and the safety of your products, and safety is not necessarily something that
It's not sexy.
you talk about, and I was going to say that you don't really talk about it a lot because safety isn't sexy, and it's not when it comes to the world of electronic cigarettes, but you also take safety very seriously.
We do. I mean, if you look at one of our boards, a good amount of our BOM cost, our bill of materials cost for these boards is in safety. I mean, a lot of what we put in there, you know, could we reduce the cost by pulling a lot of that safety out? Oh my God, yes. Would these boards cost half as much? Probably.
Really?
Yeah. But you know, it's our job to protect the user.
Right. And also, I think you're in a little bit of a different position being in an American company.
That's true.
Because people are sue happy,
right,
and you're easier to get to than a Chinese company, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah. Well, no, that's absolutely true. So yeah, you know, is it a bit of a cover your ass thing? Sure. But you know, we've been doing this from the very beginning. We've tried to put as much safety as is available to us to use in these boards. And you know, if we were playing that game of let's all race to the bottom, which you're kind of seeing right now, which you know, mods went from 80 to 60 to 40 to 20, you know, for high wattage mods. The easiest way to pull money out of that is to start pulling those things out. We're not willing to do that. That's just not part of who we are.
Okay. So from when the time that you get a device to the time you get one back out to the consumer, what's your estimated turnaround time?
Depending on the mod, if it's a high manufacturer mod like Lost Vape or H Cigar or something that I see a lot, that I know how to take apart and diagnose and fix, by the time it hits my hand to the time it goes out for shipping, maybe a half hour at most.
Okay.
So if I get it same day, it usually gets shipped out same day or following day, first thing in the morning.
Okay. When somebody's working on like a DNA 75 or 75C, especially the C, right? Do they work with you on the interface, or do they like, because okay, so the first H cigar that I got, right, not a very good interface.
Right, and I told them that.
Okay.
Typically, what'll happen is we'll send them a board. They'll send us drawings. We'll say, "Ooh, that looks nice." Then they'll send us the actual mod. Some do, some don't. They'll give us time to pick through it. You know, we'll tell them what we feel is working and what doesn't work. So if he sees something over here that is recurring, he'll talk to Nick or me, and then we'll pass that along to the manufacturer. We'll say, look, guys, there's a problem here, you need to correct it.
Do you have to confirm or give approval before your board goes into their case? Because
No.
Hear my argument out, right?
Okay.
Because if there's a bad interface, it doesn't only make H cigar look bad, it makes Evolv look bad, right? If there's a problem, it doesn't only make them look bad, but it makes Evolv look bad, right? So I almost think there's like a certification that you have to give to allow your boards to get installed in those.
Yeah, we've always sort of shied away from doing that just because we don't want to tie the hands of our manufacturers, and I'm not sure they would be okay with that. They know how to wrap stuff around the board, or at least we assume they know how to wrap stuff around the board because they've been doing it a long time. The good news is there's hundreds and hundreds of interfaces
available now. Right.
And unless you're using Linux, you have the ability to put that on because we do have eScribe for Mac now.
Oh, you do? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
It's still.
When was it released? Has it been officially released?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's been on the forums.
Okay.
I can't tell you when it went on the forums, but yeah, it's been.
I'm like always the last one to know everything. It's okay. I do a lot of traveling. I don't know sometimes. It's okay. All right. So that's good. That's good because I know a lot of people were waiting for that.
Yeah, and we've got hundreds of different.
Especially since Brandon told me that was going to be available back in, I think, the DNA 40 days. I think it was. I think he did. Okay. All right. So we're going back here.
Yeah. No. It's been a long time coming. Sorry about that, Mac user.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We're going to go take a look at the stock room and get back to work. There's some more mods for you to fix. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
Easy.
Oh, there. Oh, we see him in the wild. I think there he is.
Yes.
I see him peeking through. Where is he?
He's hiding.
He's hiding. He's hiding right now. We'll catch up with that man a little bit later on. There he is again. There he is again. We're gonna get to him. He's hidden by a wall of monitors. Now, is this his desk too, right here?
Yeah, that's all of that.
Okay.
We almost saw.
So that is what I have for part 2. So therefore, we have to make a part 3 because there's more to see. We're going to see the stock room. We're going to see tech support. We're going to meet some of those folks. We're going to have more of the interview. And I know Brandon and John are probably going to be mad that this is a 3-part, 3-hour event. Okay, but again, I find a lot of this stuff interesting, and I know those of you who are hobbyists and enthusiasts might find it interesting as well. Okay, so this is the end of part 2. Look for part 3 out there.
Can I taste your juice?